Alright. It looks and or sounds like I am moving. It is because I am. I have an indoor bike and I needed to get some exercise indoors so I didn't lose too much water because I've been super dehydrated. So I had a really good morning and I will share with you about my really good morning. So for starters, I found a new journal. Well, I have had it, but I needed one that I could start over with. And so I stated that I am dedicating this journal to document the rest of my life after I've acquired the insight and okay, hold on, I write in cursive, so sometimes when I write I'm like crap. Acquired the insight and no, I don't know, something that the Lord has and the knowledge, I don't know, maybe I abbreviated. The knowledge that the Lord has recently blessed me with, which are as follows. When I am not caught up in trying to pursue a relationship with a man, being caught up in a busy social life or the everyday demands, I find myself. God has been speaking slow down for quite some time now, and I'm finally understanding because first came the word, then came the opportunities to experience slowing down. Thus I had the wisdom because I lived it. Today is Monday, August 30th, 2021. So now I will explain to you my day and my morning, and I will give you a bit of a backstory after I explain to you what I did today. I woke up and I stood out in the grass with the heat of the morning sun covering my entire being. I drank from my favorite glass travel mug. It's about 13 ounces of water and just basked in the sun. Just standing and soaking up God's presence. Once my water was finished, I stretched lightly throughout my body. I began to cast out evil and speak God's promises of health, joy, love, happiness, self-control, peace over my day. It was such a peaceful way to enter the day. I now sit reading my daily devotions. I needed to journal. I have had a few things that really resonated in me. So these are the things that have been speaking to me in the last few days that have just completely altered my life. You know, when you hear something and it's just something that is the perfect timing and it's going to continue on with you the rest of your life. Okay, so let me share with you the few things that have just done that for me. So today is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad. Now that's a verse from the Bible. Today is a gift from God. I don't want to waste it. I've been learning the importance of taking care of the things that are important to me. Just because I've learned doesn't mean I'm doing. And that's a huge part of my struggle. But again, when you have that, let me just finish this and I'll go off on a rant. Okay. I've been learning to take care of the things that are important to me. My camera, jewelry, car, and none of these things even matter. What does matter is taking care of my body, because my body is a gift from God. It is also a home for the Holy Spirit, right? Number 2, I am choosing to take care of my body by filling it with food that is alive and brings life. Food that is alive brings life, right? So instead of eating things that are packaged and dry and just, not good and healthy, you're not bringing in the proper nutrients into your body. And that's something that I've been struggling with. And number 3, I am faced with a choice every day. We are all faced with this choice multiple times a day. Will I evolve or will I repeat? I choose to evolve. Just because I'm choosing it doesn't mean that I'm able to do it every day. I still mess up. Again, I will get to that. Number 4, to be in control of my thoughts. Not to stew on the negative and repetitive, but to expand with thoughts of life and love. In addition, another thing that has clicked and helped me understand is that when people see me, get to know me, they form a version of me that is not the real me. In this very moment in time, I am real, yes, but it's not the real me either. For I am in the process of shedding off who I became based off of the titles, labels, views, and opinions, rules, expectations from this world for the last 32 years. I'll be 32 in a couple weeks. Hey. Right? So I am in the process of ridding myself of this version that this life made me to be. And when someone meets me or sees me or interacts with me, be it briefly or be it for a few minutes, somebody has already formed an opinion about me. They have a view of me, right? And so that doesn't mean it's the real me. That doesn't mean that that's who I am. That's just their perception of me. Okay, so I am not in control of what I think that person thinks, but I am in control of my thoughts, and I don't have to allow what I think they're thinking, right? So I'm like, oh, that person thinks I'm this, or what if they think I'm that? And it's like, I can't control that, right? We cannot control what people think about us. We can be action, right, over words. So your actions speak louder than words, so you can be a good person and do different things and be more of who you want to be, because that's what you're, but that's the thing too, because I was being a way and then speaking that I was this way, but not living up to it. And so I can understand how that's confusing. I was faced with that not that long ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I am definitely not. Anyways, so taking on, working through, growing, learning, shaping into who Christ is calling me to be instead of this version that I've been. So I want to rid myself of what I've been for 30 some years and become more of this person. So when you meet me and you get to know me, the version of who I am when you meet me at that time is not who I will be, probably in a short amount of time, because I've been growing very rapidly emotionally for the last 2.5 years. And so I am definitely not the same person that I was. And plus, most people don't even know who I really am, because I've spent my life chameleoning my way through toxic relationships and poor choices and never really having the opportunity to be me. And that's why I go back to the beginning here, if I might, real quick. When I am not pursuing a relationship with somebody, or allowing my busy social life to consume me, or work to eat me alive, or the fear of and the what ifs and the whatever to control me, I literally am at a standstill where I have nothing going on. And that boredom and I took today, and I did not put on any music all day. I literally just sat in my thoughts because I haven't really taken the time to just listen to even myself and think, to give myself the opportunity to hear what I'm thinking about and to understand myself from a different perspective. And so when we take that time to just be present in the moment and to listen, it allows ourselves to, and again, if we're not distracted, we're just bored out of our minds, we start doing what we want to do. We start responding naturally. And in that moment, we can either address that natural response and be like, I don't like that that's how I'm naturally responding to something. So then that gives us opportunity to be like, that's something that I want to fix. And if it's like a natural response, like when I first started hearing my laugh, because I've never had the opportunity to really like laugh and let go and be myself, I was like, oh my gosh, I hate my laugh. It's terrible. But it was something that it was like, you know what? That's my laugh. I can't do a dang thing about it. So there's no point in stressing about it and worrying about what other people are going to think if they hear it, because I can't fix it. So it is what it is, right? So to continue on. So whatever version of myself I am to someone is not who I am, because I am still yet to be. Don't allow what you think or they do think to dictate any part of you, only what Jesus says about you. And then I started reading my daily devotions, which are over there. I should grab it. Did I make mention that I'm on this little like an indoor bike thing because I needed to get some exercise, because I have just been dragging for the past couple days because I have eaten nothing but carbs and sugar, which has just triggered this just candida overgrowth in my system, and I'm very tired. And I went through a lot because I've been very stressed because I switched to a new job, and I cried a whole lot the one day. It was just really, there was a lot going on. Anyways, so in all things, be still. And I know that's like the most confusing thing, because you're like, what does it mean to be still? Like, sit still? Like that? What do you, Lord, really seriously? But that's not what it means. To be still is to literally humble yourself, to be aware of God and his vastness, and to better explain, because sometimes it's very hard to explain God. Like the greatness, the vastness, the depth, to be aware of all that, right? To just realize, to take yourself out of the center, and then to recognize his power, his creation, his presence. So to view life and problems from a different perspective is extremely important. But instead of the selfie view, see it as a view from space, right? View your life instead of like this close and your first world problems, to really take yourself out of that and imagine you're looking at yourself and your problems and your life and your struggles from space. You're not even going to be able to see any of that, right? So we get so caught up in that stress and in that moment that we're not able to focus on anything else. And that comes back to our thoughts, right? If we're stewing over those same thoughts day in and day out, we aren't giving ourselves the opportunity to hear anything else we're trying to say. So we can't evaluate what it is that we might need, what we might be dealing with. We're not able to face these emotions that have been controlling us. So instead, like myself, I'm letting those stress and emotions trigger me, and then I go into a binge, and then I'm on a downward spiral, instead of being like, okay, what is happening in my life that I need to address? Like, what do I need to fix? And what do I need to do? But it's a whole nother story when you try to address what actually needs to be addressed, because you can understand it, but you can't really move forward until you have the understanding. And I will tell you that moving forward is still very hard. But it's also important to realize you're not alone, have a support system. When you fail, not beat yourself up. Like, it just depends on what you're dealing with, right? Like for me, my struggle is food. And other people might have like a drug addiction, and so sometimes you have to be very careful. And I'm not saying like whatever, but like you have to have a support system, and I don't have one because I keep myself away from it because I suck. there's a whole, we can get into that. Right now I want to finish this rant. So, it was super good. And then, so that's what brought me to, because I'm really trying my hardest to get away from like listening to Tool, right? Because I'm not trying to open any doors to the wrong things and Satan and his like get in your head and, like manipulate, because it's very easy to watch something and it be the wrong thing, and then your mind is off on that and the lies and the whatnot. So, excuse me, this body holding me is not my own, but a gift, and I need to learn to take care of it. So, realizing that I am worth more than gold, fine diamonds and rubies, worth more than my most expensive camera, my earrings, rings, jewelry, yet I don't even take care of those things. It's no wonder I don't take proper care of myself. And again, right, knowledge is power. So until we have that knowledge and that understanding of, if I'm not eating food that is helping me to thrive, I am not going to thrive. Which takes me to every morning you wake up, you have a choice to either evolve or repeat. I was evolving until I found out that a good regular of mine died of a sudden heart attack today. And I got really sad, and I allowed those emotions to trigger me. And I have spoken on this book, The Power of Habit, and it is phenomenal. I posted on my Instagram. It's Charles Duhigg, I believe. And it helps you to really understand the mind from that perspective of, there's a cue. And whatever that cue is, so I learned that a good customer, regular friend, died this morning. And that triggered these emotions. So what I did after I got triggered was went on a binge, because screw it, I'm already sad, I'm allowing my emotions to control me, and I don't know what else to do, because I have no money right now. Like, I am broke as a joke, and I can't just go out and spend money on anything, which is great, because I probably would have just spent it on junk food. So instead I just like binge ate like this box of it was like chocolate brown rice puffed cereal, which just expands in your stomach and you feel like crap, because I've eaten like a whole half a box of it, because it's really good and it's crunchy, and that crunchy triggers like so there was a whole lot going on, right? So this morning I wrote all this out, and I don't know, hold on. Okay. Yes. No. I had so much. This is why I grabbed one journal. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my day, right? So I woke up, and after I woke up, I went and I sat out in the grass, and there's this thing that's called grounding. And you go and you put your phone away from you, and you just stand barefoot in the grass. Google it. It's called grounding. I got grounded today. Kind of fun. Right, I'm like a rebellious teenager, and God's like, get your together. I'm like, I'm trying. Anyways, so I went and I stood out in the grass, and I just stood in the sun, and I just allowed myself to process the morning. Like, I was like, you know what, I'm so sick of the way that I've been living my life. I'm sick of the person that I have been my entire life, and there becomes a point when you become sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? So you make changes. Or at least you attempt to make changes. And sometimes you make changes, and then the next day you completely fail. And then you get down, and then you screw up, and then it's like a week before you get back on track, and you're just like, I'm just done. I'm over this. Like, I can't. I'm a screw up. It's fine. Like, and then you just get back into the bad patterns, and then it takes you forever to get back to where you were. I have been about over feeling this way, because I am the reason I don't feel good. I am the reason that I use these hands and I eat too much. But it's not just a physical, it's a mental. And it's not that I have a mental issue. Could be a thing. I don't know. But what I do know is that sugar, which I am probably going to spend a good amount of my life becoming an advocate for, sugar has been drastically impacting my health my entire life. But not just that. So when I started doing research, I learned about, I have been sick my entire life. I have been sick since I was a child. And I have had strep throat, scarlet's fever, mono. I've had, but the thing is I realized that I have had a lot of food allergies and a lot of food sensitivities and a lot of inflammation throughout my whole body. And what's worse is that when we were kids, I don't know about you guys, like my age range, like I'm going to be 32, back in the day, like taking an antibiotic was normal. So I had taken a lot of antibiotics in my life. You got a cold, take an antibiotic. You got a flu, take an antibiotic. And all of a sudden, if you can picture the most lush, healthy forest, and you set it on fire, and it is raw, and it is charred, and it is just dead, okay? That's what an antibiotic does to your digestive system, to your whole body, okay? It kills off that live, lush host of good bacteria, the health, just the flourishing whatever of your body, okay? And so it takes years to rebuild that, especially if you're continuously adding foods to it that are causing problems. Excuse me. So I learned probably about 6 months ago that I have a dairy allergy. And I have 1,000 food sensitivities right now because the state that my body's in, the foods that I'm eating are triggering this immune response. So if I can back up here and discuss that the issue that we have is that our bodies are so inflamed at a cellular level that our cells are unable to properly absorb vitamins and minerals, and our hormones are unable to attach to that mucous membrane on the outside of these cells because of all the inflammation and how screwed up they are, okay? So our bodies are just continuously in this fight or flight mode because we keep eating these foods that are triggering this reaction, right? So if you eat something you're allergic to, your body does this thing where it goes into fight mode and it does what it needs to do. And so a lot of times I'm learning that if there's something that I'm allergic to and I eat it, I get severe upper respiratory. So if any of you have experienced, like, we're coming into fall season, so you're getting your mold, your sunflower allergies, your things like that, hay fever, okay? So if you've ever had it where you just get tons of drainage and your throat's irritated, you feel like you got strep throat, you feel like you got something, you can't breathe, okay, that's what happens when I eat something that I'm allergic to. I will also get that with foods that I have a sensitivity to. So if you are aware of your food allergies, cool. If not, do skin prick allergy testing. For sensitivities, you can do what is called the elimination diet, which is really the best way to learn what your body can and cannot handle. But if you're doing the elimination diet and you're doing it at a state where your body, like for me, my body is so inflamed and so jacked up right now that there are so many things that I'm eating that are just triggering this immune response because it's triggering a histamine response and it's wreaking havoc because my body's so inflamed because I'm so stressed. I haven't been eating right. I haven't been sleeping right. And I'm dehydrated and I'm constipated, so like nothing is flowing, and my thyroid's been jacked up from sugar, so nothing, like my blood isn't being able to detoxify my body, so it's like a stagnant. So it just makes sense, right? So the elimination diet is where you're going to cut out a food for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then after 2 or 3 weeks you're going to eat it for like 3 or 4 days straight, and you are going to see what happens, and you are going to feel it if you're allergic to it. So again, for me, sore throat, drainage, just mucus production. Like people, if you ever eat like dairy, you probably have an allergy because we all freaking do, and it's like we're not supposed to eat it anyways, it's fine. So you don't feel good, right? And so that's your body saying, stop giving this to me. I don't like it. I like it, but I'm not supposed to eat it. Thus, we run into that issue. So for me, if I have any sort of carb or sugar, while my body is in this state, and while my body is being overrun by candida, and candida is yeast, and yeast is something that just spreads rampant through your body, and it controls your body, and it says, hey, you know what sounds good right now? Anything with sugar. I know you like chocolate. I don't care what kind it is. One piece, no, just eat like the whole bar. Because if you don't eat the whole bar now, we're going to eat it later or tomorrow. So you might as well just eat it all, so then it's out of the house. And then you're like, okay, so now that you've gotten a taste for that sugar, your body's like, I need more. I know you just ate a full bar of like a candy bar, but I know there's more carbs in those cupboards, so like let's go get them. Like let's just eat it. So then you find yourself in a spiral because your body's not telling you that it's full, even if you are full, because that it's being controlled by this yeast overgrowth and this inflammation, all this junk that's going. We're just gonna eat just more sugar, more junk, more carbs. Vicious cycle, okay? And it sucks. So in order to remove the candida, you literally have to starve it. And it is the hardest thing to do because that means you cannot eat your beloved sugar and beloved carbs. But once you start to, that's like 3 days. So sometimes when you do a cleanse like that, and then if you cut out your sugars, because sugar is sugar is sugar, right? So if you're going to eat a candy bar, it's full of sugar. If you're going to eat bread, it's full of sugar. Oh, thank you. Stacy, I love you. So if you're going to do this cleanse, right, you have to cut out the sugar and the carbs and the junk, which means starving the yeast. And there is a period of they call it a die-off. So these little bacteria, once they start to die off, release a toxin. And this toxin can give you flu-like symptoms, tiredness, headaches. I mean, I feel like crap like that from it just being alive. So when it dies off, it releases a toxin and you feel like crap. So, but the thing is after a few days, you just have this, like, you just feel good. Like for me, I get bloating. Like I can look like I'm 6 months pregnant. It's terrible. So with that, once those cravings start going away, I will often find that I'm no longer triggered to go into these binges. So it's not an overnight process. And I wish it was, because if it was, I'd be great. But it's like a 3 to 6 month journey to start healing inflammation on a cellular level, because you're down here with where the cell inflammation is, and you're up here with, okay, I just treated this last gastritis flare up. And if you're unfamiliar with gastritis, it is where the lining of your stomach becomes depleted. Be it stress, be it hormones, be it spicy food, be it too much sugar, be it whatever. And that lining of your stomach, and it's like heartburn, but it's like the whole thing, and it spreads all the way up. It feels like your food isn't digesting, and you lay down at night and your food just, it can come up. And this is what's scary, right? So if you are dealing with this heartburn and this reflux and your body's not properly digesting, because I don't know, some people apparently have food that digests in like 2 or 3 hours, but for me, if I start on a binge, I will eat for a solid hour, which means that my stomach is so overwhelmed and I am unable to actually properly digest it, because my body's like, oh my gosh, like, why do you keep doing this to me? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm really not in control. And then it's like, well, you are, it's your freaking hands. And I'm like, I know, but the thing is telling me, so it's a freaking struggle, okay? Point is, where was I? Anyways, so once you can start ridding, so say you heal up just on like the basic level and you've healed the gastritis, that's great, right? But it's like a band-aid. Those symptoms are still going to come back. Why? Because there's roots way down deep as to what's really causing this. So again, we haven't felt well, so we're not really eating a lot of the same foods and doing the same things, and we're taking care of our body, and we're drinking more water, and we're getting more sleep. I'm like, okay, I'm starting to feel better. Then all of a sudden, we're like, oh, I feel fine. And then you start just going right back into your old bad habits. And for me, it's putting barbecue sauce on everything, and then not drinking like I struggle with like 30, 40 ounces. I'm supposed to have like 64. I'm trying. I have drank the most water in my life, in my entire life, in the last probably 6 months. I didn't know I had it in me until I had to have a colonoscopy, and I had to drink this stuff, and they're like, yeah, after you drink this stuff, you have to drink like 72 ounces of water in like 20 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna die. And it was like, no, you'll be fine. And I'm like, okay. And so then I was like, wow, I can actually drink water and I'm fine. So amazing what your body's actually capable of, but don't do 70 some ounces. That's way too much at one time. You just don't do that over a day. That's what we're aiming towards. I actually spend my mornings, so I get up, try to get up early, and I try to get down, like, I have my one, it's like 13 ounces, and I'll drink that, and then I'll go sit on the couch, and I finish that while I'm reading, and then I get up, and I refill it. So I think 30, almost 40 ounces, so I'm like, cool, and then I'm like, well, now I'm hungry, so then I eat something, and then I overeat, and then I can't drink anything for like 3 hours because my stomach's so full, and if it's like just jacked up and the acid, good lord, so then if I drink water, it all just comes up. So it's like, I just don't know why I can't get it together and do my water in the morning and then do a juice or a smoothie, because that's what I should be doing. And then after I do a juice and smoothie, then it's like eating a light meal. But if I do a juice or a smoothie, I'm starving. And then I want more junk. And then it's a spiral, okay? So again, the whole point of this is I spent this morning completely shaking up what I normally do. And I felt really good. And then I got triggered by my emotions. And I have been very depressed for the last like 3 or 4 days. Like really depressed, because I have been eating nothing but sugar and carbs and junk, which has impacted my thyroid. My hormones had already been like out of balance. And so with that, it's just been a mess. So not only that, but realizing like I allow my emotions to control me, which I rebuke that because I'm moving forward. So anyways, and if we're living in our emotions and we're not taking that time to process our emotions because we're so busy with relationships and social life and work and music and TV, and we're not actually sitting and listening to our bodies going, I need something. I'm sad about something. I'm whatever. And I notice, which this has been said, if you eat in front of the TV, you're going to eat more. I don't know how much more you guys eat, but I eat probably twice my weight. And that's like without the TV on. So like with the TV on, it was like almost a full box of freaking cereal, in addition to the giant salad that I made. That was phenomenal, by the way. But I am lacking the proper vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that my body needs, because I am so inflamed on a cellular level that I'm not properly absorbing the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that I need that will help keep me full and focused and feeling good. So again, we need to start healing on a cellular level, which means reducing the inflammation throughout the whole body. So again, now we're coming into ragweed season, which again, there's this thing called cross-reactivity. If you eat sunflowers or sunflower seeds or sunflower seed oil, or there's a couple other things, melons, any gourds, so your pumpkins or whatever, and you get like itchy ears, itchy throat, drainage, you just don't feel good, you get some like bloating or anything, you probably have a sensitivity. So if you Google like hay fever, or honestly just do allergy, like cross-reactivity foods, there is a whole list on this allergy site, which is really interesting, because you're like, oh, I have a pollen allergy, and they're like, yes, which also cross-reacts with apples and pears and plums and all these things that are pollen related. So if we're not properly taking care of our bodies, and sometimes, you know, it's a matter of taking like an allergy, whatever, and I was on Nasacort and Zyrtec for a while, and I honestly haven't taken it in a while, because like I'm so sick of pumping my body full of junk. And I don't even think it really works that well. Like, I don't know, maybe you've got to take it for a while and sometimes whatever. But if I'm not taking care of my body, none of that stuff's going to make a difference anyways, right? So it doesn't matter. And if I am not getting down the water that I need to help flush the things out of my system, they're staying in there. And if I am not eating the greens and the veggies and the fibrous foods, then I am not getting nutrients even for that day, which is very important. And it's triggering this ripple effect in my body. So I'm like, well, I need dairy-free and soy-free and peanut-free, and peanuts are in the legume family, so I can't have any sort of edamame or green peas or pea protein. I can't have any whey. Sesame seeds, because they're in the soy family, which is peanuts and legumes, and so I get itchy and I get it's a freaking mess, okay? It sucks. Try being like, oh yeah, hey girl, like you wanna like go out to dinner? Yeah, no. I can't eat anything that you normal people can eat right now. Get at me in like 3 to 6 months, but probably not, because I'm actually really not doing what I need to do to get my shit together. So I'm just miserable right now, and I'm just sitting home on my little indoor exercise bike acting like this is going to help the giant binge I went on, which, coming down to not beating yourself up, I'm so broke right now that I can't afford to go buy anything else food-wise, which is great. So I'm just kind of making my way through. And the only thing I have left to binge on is like prunes and raisins and some like brown rice crackers, which I made the mistake of eating those last time. Again, I ate like a whole box of the rice puff cereal, and again, it expanded in my stomach. And I ate way too many things at one time. So, yeah, I'm not doing myself any favors, okay? So, yeah, it's been great. But again, like the whole, so let me see here. We were in, so I read this earlier and it just clicked. Psalms 62 and 63. I have no idea who's watching this right now. There's like 2 people apparently, which, cool. You're loved. And now you get to listen to me read from the Bible for a second because it fits into my day. For God alone my soul waits in silence. From him comes my salvation. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be greatly shaken. Right? So talking about living in our feelings, not allowing ourselves to be shaken when these emotions try to trigger us into something. And let's see here. Trust in him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us. And then let's see here. Okay, this is Psalm 63. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary, beholding your power and glory. So remember earlier when I said to be still and grasp his vastness and really just try to process how big he is and how much bigger he is than your problems, even though you're in the center of the storm right now, and how miserable it is and how alone you feel and how messed up it is that you can't get it together and you keep just, it's a frickin' mess, right? My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich food. And it's so funny because I come across so many verses that talk about food. And to realize how much I turn to food instead of turning to God. And it's my vice, my addiction, my struggle. And one of the hardest things a Christian, which... here's another rant. I don't believe in titles and labels. And when people are like, oh, you're a Christian, I'm like, yeah, okay, because that's the best way for you to grasp the fact that I have a personal relationship with Jesus. And the only reason I have that is because I was done with my life. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was going to commit suicide. And then God was like, no, you're not. And it was a whole thing. So once God stopped me from suicide, I was like, okay, like, you have my attention. And so I started to seek him out. And then I was in a very toxic relationship for 5 years that I physically, mentally, and emotionally could not handle anymore. I could not get out of. I couldn't get away from. I couldn't go 4 hours away without somebody calling and telling him where I was. I was not good, okay? And I was like, listen, I'm either going to check myself into a mental institution because there was so much mental manipulation going on. I couldn't process anything. Like, I just couldn't, right? And I didn't know what else to do. And so I started praying, and I was like, listen, I was like, you created me for a reason. I don't know what that reason is. I don't know, but like, I surrender. I surrender to your will. Whatever you want to do, like, let's do this. And then he was like, hey, so you have this cousin. You don't really know her. You guys have quite the difference in age. That's cool. That's fine. She's getting married out in Grand Rapids. And I know for the past like few years, she's like, you should move out here. And you're like, that's a terrible idea. Like, I'm not going to leave my crap show of a life to move out to Grand Rapids and leave all of the terrible people and things that I've been a part of for 29 years. Like, why would I want to do that? But I said, hey, I surrender. And so then I was like, I am going to obey because I want to know. If I'm getting this opportunity, I want to take it, right? So I took my opportunity, and God set up everything for me. He set me up in this baller apartment, which, let me see here. This is part of my view. There is a pool over there. I have a really awesome view. There's some cows over in and the airplanes like come through. I'm not gonna lie. I was still doing a lot of terrible things when I moved here, and I came home. I don't think I was hammered, but I had been drinking, and I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, like, planes have headlights? Okay. So that was really cool. And yeah, so like, that was really cool. I got hooked up with a lot. And let me just really quick tell you, I've been trying to hit the tunnel of trees, which is the M119 out in wherever that is. And there's this really awesome restaurant called Legs Inn. Oh my god, they have the best Polish food like ever. If you go there, you gotta get like the hunter stew and the potato pancakes, and you have to take some home because you drove all that way, so you need some to go home. And it was the best meal you're ever gonna have. And I'm Polish, so I'm like, hell yeah. Anyways, I've been trying to visit the Tunnel of Trees because the Tunnel of Trees is where all of the trees change to their fall colors, and it's beautiful. I have been trying to go for probably 7 years, and every time I tried to go out there, the trees were still green. And then I learned this year, because of all the fun climate control and all the BS that's going on, they're not even going to change for a really long time. If they do change, right? And if I do, I don't know when I'm going to get out there, because I have a lease and I can't drive that far. And it's just, don't get a lease vehicle. Don't do that. It's the worst. But it's fine. Anyways, so I realized that when I surrendered and I said, Lord, you created me for a reason. I'm going to figure this out. I can't live this life anymore. You stopped me from suicide. Like, well, we're not doing this, right? Whatever reason you created me for, like, let's figure it out. Cool. So when I surrendered and he said, hey, you're moving to Grand Rapids, get packed up. And I was like, okay. So he was very open and communicative with me about moving and, where I was moving, because I had to travel down here because I was in the wedding. And we got introduced to, so my cousin was getting married, and the guy she was getting married to's family had originally built these 3 homes in this area up on this hill, and they had all moved out, and this new family moved in, and my cousin called them and like, hey, like, what do you think about renting out that mother-in-law suite, which is where I'm at right now. I can't really see it. It's fine. Anyways, and they were like, yeah, like, we just got it cleaned up. We just don't know how to go about, like, advertising it for rent. And had I tried to get this apartment or move out here on my own, I wouldn't have gotten it. Because I have a bankruptcy on my record from, I think it was about 7 years ago now. And I think it was like 7 years was good. And I was like, nah, I'll probably give it 9 years because we hate you. And I'm like, cool. I was really young and I was in a toxic relationship with somebody who just used all my money, and I had a credit card, and it's fine. No excuses. Either way, I had to go through bankruptcy. I had worked for a bankruptcy attorney, so this is God also working in my life. He's like, you're going to go be a full-time paralegal and not know what the hell you're doing at the age of 20. But then you're going to turn 21, and it's going to be really cool to you because you're going to be living in the apartment at the attorney's office, like the door. So because you still smoke weed, you're going to have to be careful, even though you've been smoking and it's been pouring into Jake's apartment the whole time, and he never said anything because he was shy, and you thought you were cool, and then it's fine. And then you're gonna do all this paperwork for all these, mainly the one bar who kept serving minors, and a lot of stories. And so it was cool for a second, right? Because I'm like, I could walk the strip in downtown Saginaw and hit all the bars, because that was cool. And at that time it was. And so continuing forward, I worked for an attorney, not knowing what I did or how to do any of it, and it was a full-time paralegal for about a year, and then I was like, I am not your person. We can see by this. So I'm gonna go. Thank you. And then I left. But I had that connection. So I was able to file bankruptcy, get a discount on it, go through the whole shebang, start rebuilding my life. I was never properly trained, raised, explained finances, eating healthy, proper love, sex life, none of it. Okay? I didn't have that growing up. Nobody told me, hey, because the Bible, says guard your heart and, don't, be the woman at the well and sleep with everybody, and you're going to hate yourself if you do, and then I'm going to have a ton of, emotional soul ties and healings, and we're going to have to deal with them many years down the road, so don't. Nobody told me not to do any of that, and so because I didn't have that, love, and hated myself as a child growing up, you know how it goes, I didn't make good choices for many, 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 many years. And so when I said, I surrender to your will, I want what you want for me, that started on this journey. So it started on this journey of where he moved me to Grand Rapids, and he brought me in January 4th and 5th. He had the two nicest days. It was 50-degree weather. It's like that next week, I got snowed in for a month. And the snow we get out in this area is way worse than the snow I was used to in Bay City, okay? It was just different. And so, because I didn't know where I was, and my old bad habits were ooh, let's find a Marshall's and blow all the money we don't have on crap we don't need. And I'm like, okay, let's venture out. I one time ventured out after working at catering, and these people had all these fish, little minnow things, as decoration, and some of these a-holes were killing the fish, and I'd save them, and so I saved as many as I could, and I had a bowl full of them. It was a snowstorm, and I was like, I'm gonna drive down the worst back roads with the ditches to go to Meijer to get the fish bowl and the fish food to just watch them all die, and then I flushed them down the toilet. Yeah, another good choice was made that day. Anyways, good Lord, so many tangents. So, so surrendering, moving out here, getting back, it's still stoner brain. I'm not high, but you know how you get off on these tangents and eventually it comes full circle? So God moved me out here, and I had never been able to visit the tunnel of trees, and the trees had never changed. One day it clicked. I'm driving, and literally it's all like hills and valleys, and it's fall, and even in my backyard, all the trees, okay? We saw this, right? This is all those, and there's so many more on the side. And then when I'm driving anywhere and everywhere, I'm surrounded by just tons of trees, and they were all changed for fall. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, thank you. Like, that was the only thing I could do, is literally just be like, you do know the desires of my heart. You do know what I want, even if I can't figure out how to properly express it. So because I've trusted you enough, you're like, hey girl, I got you. Like, look at what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you some blessings, and there's more. But then I don't realize, so when you start growing your relationship with the Lord, faith is like a muscle. I don't know if you've heard that. You have to work at it, right? Which I suck at working at growing regular muscles. So the faith muscle is a little hard as well. I moved out here, got snowed in. He helped me realize that I was just fine being alone. Because for 5 years, I had a very toxic relationship where I couldn't go anywhere without this person, couldn't do anything without this person, because that was our relationship, even though every time we were together, all we did was fight, and it's fine, it's done, it's not my circus anymore. Thank you, Jesus. Anyways, so once I got away from that, and he took me from family, and I really didn't have friends. I mean, I have some friends. Like, I don't know who's watching this or gonna watch this. It's not that maybe you and I are like acquaintances, but like, I don't think we've ever had like girls' night and like taken selfies and watched movies. Like, I don't think I've ever done that in my entire life. So yeah, that's all I've ever wanted. But I always chose boys, chose relationships. They were all terrible. Because I was a very broken person. So I wasn't ever attracting the right relationship anyway. So it was just doomed from the beginning, because like that version of me was still attracting to that vibe, and that vibe was just terrible. So anyways, so when I got out here and I got snowed in, I had no choice but to come face to face with myself. Wholeheartedly, every part of me that I have been drowning out my entire life, and I had no choice but to face it. And it was hard. And I don't know if you can see behind me, this is a bathroom. And this bathroom goes in a circle. So because I was snowed in, I literally just walked laps, because I didn't know where to go or what to do. And then it was too snowy to drive anywhere until I was able to go discover Marshall's. I feel like still to this day, people are like, oh my God, I love your dress. Where'd you get it? I'm like, Marshall's. I'm like, anything else I ever wear, I got it from Marshall's. I have a food addiction and a shopping addiction. Like, I freaking get it. I'm sorry, I'm working on it. I have been needing to prove myself to people that have versions of me in their head that I don't even, it's fine. It's fine. Just, I got it from Marshall's. They have good deals. Just go. So, when he took me from my family, my friends, my dog, I think that was the hardest thing, as I didn't have my best friend with me anymore. And that dog got me through 3 years of that really tough 5-year relationship, because he had a son, and I knew that I wasn't ever going to be able to have kids with him because he's fixed. Fixed means that he's not making any more babies, and that's fine, because quite honestly, I was not interested in that. With him, so it's fine. So I was living this way with him for so long, to the point where, like I was, God had stopped me from suicide in the beginning of the relationship. And so then I just lived in this very miserable, toxic, whatever. And I was getting to the point where I was like, I'm going to check myself into a mental institution, because I just can't anymore. Like, he's, either way, it's too much. I can't keep living this way. And I said to God one night, I said, listen, I said, I've been living in sin, living this whatever. Like, I will marry this man so that I can honor you. And he straight up said, no. You don't want me to obey you and get married. He's like, no, man, I got bigger and better things. Like, just chill. Trust me. I got this. Like, I'm gonna get you out of this. It's just gonna take some time because because you're so caught up on money, you don't want to walk away from that job that's literally killing you, because you see right now, like, things are okay because you're young and healthy. And then in a few years, all that stress and that eating late and the binge eating one solid meal at 3 o'clock because you've been busy all morning. Then you got to work at catering all night, and you're going to eat one giant meal. And then you might eat again, like, way later at night, because that was his lifestyle, and eating like 9 to 10 o'clock and then laying down. And yeah, that's the worst. Okay. So he's like, just wait. You're going to get sick. And your gallbladder is going to start failing because you're not taking care of yourself. You're going to have it out. And I'm like, nah, I believe you're going to heal me. We're going to just get healed. You're going to heal me. It's fine. My faith is strong. Just kidding. I do not have the faith I have now, and I don't have much. I do, and I don't. I do. Okay, but good Lord, here I am thinking I'm some faithful Christian. When I was like 25, I was mainly just high all the time, taking selfies and listening to vinyls because I'm cool. Which I'm so cool, because that's my vinyl collection, and it's all 50-cent thrift store finds. And Carmen Cavallero is a pianist, and he is amazing. Look him up and find Rome at Midnight and Carnival in Venice. I think they're on Spotify. I don't know, maybe Google, but my good Lord, they are the best. Excuse me. Anyways, so he's like, hey, you're going to get sick. You're going to have your gallbladder out. You're going to get down to 95 pounds. You're going to go through a bunch more hell. Everybody at work is going to hate you because I don't really know. Like, we're not going to get into detail of whether or not he's actually cheating on you. It's fine. Nobody cares, because eventually it's not going to be your show anymore. And I'm like, what? So I did. I got sick, and I got down to 95 pounds. I had my gallbladder out, and I was very stressed, in a very toxic relationship, not eating right, and it was terrible. And then, because I didn't want to live with him, I ended up living in an environment where the house was full of mold for 2 years, and I prayed every day for the protection of my health. And I got it until it came time for me to leave. God had said, I have bigger and better things for you, but I need you to walk away from this job. And I was like, are you kidding me? Walk away from this job? Do you know how I've built myself up? Do you know how much money I'm making? Do you know my status and my position here? And he's like, yeah, and it's not that great. Are you happy? And I'm like, no, but I'm making really good money. And he's like, that's cool, but are you happy? And I'm like, yeah, because I have money. And then he's like, yeah, well, you won't for long. And he's like, just wait. And I'm like, all right, okay. So I had to walk away from my job that I had built myself up into, which was killing me. But I wanted to stay because I was too afraid to let go. And I was enjoying the money I was making, right? So once I finally walked away, I ended up moving in with the guy I was talking to, and because I was still making the same not to say poor choices, but I mean, I was still attracting that same type of person, so an older divorced male with a child, which this one was healthy. This one I healed. I moved into a clean house, which was not full of mold, because God was like, hey, listen, I'm trying to get you to move, and you're not. So that mold's going to start affecting your health. And you're going to get covered in a frickin' gross rash, and you're in a wedding. So your pretty little dress is going to look terrible. if you don't get out of this damn house like I'm telling you to. And I was like, okay, shit, all right, let's go. And so I had to get put on an antibiotic, which then also triggered the whole destroyed healthy environment, even though I didn't have a healthy environment. So like, consider setting yourself back and then set yourself back a whole bunch more. Okay, so that's where I was. And yeah, so good times. The antibiotic did help because it killed the mold, killed the rest of the good stuff in my body, and I looked great at the wedding. I mean, I think it's like one of my main photos. Like, it's, thankfully my cousin picked the light blue dress instead of the pink one, just made me look super pale and terrible. And the other one was like a wrap, and I did not know how to wear it. And so thankfully the dress that I had was great, and I looked great. Okay, it was great. Anyways, so, you know, all healed up, whatever, and had to come out here for the wedding, and then got to come view the apartment, and everything was lining up, right? Apartment's cleaned out, they're looking to rent it, nobody's asking me about, you know, records, so I don't have to tell them about a bankruptcy. I've still got money in the bank because I just wasted 5 years of my life working from 5 in the morning till 12 o'clock at night, just slaving away in a toxic relationship at a place that I couldn't walk away from because I was making so much money, which in hindsight, yeah, okay, cool. Just time is more valuable than money. You can get money back. Time you cannot. So I wasted a lot. And then I moved out here, and I was like, okay, like, I'm going through the rest of my money because I have big girl bills. Again, don't get a lease vehicle. Just, I can't, if anyone has like help on how to get out of the lease I'm in, please let me know, because I hate it. This is my second one. I love like having a new car, but I hate being confined in how far I can drive because I have miles. I want to go to drive to the beach on a whim and just go take pictures. Like, I have lost a part of myself because I haven't taken any photo trips this year because I'm like, I have a lease, I can't drive anywhere, sorry. And everyone I meet is like, hey, I live an hour away, do you want to come like hang out way over here? And I'm like, no. They're like, do you want to go out to eat? And I'm like, no. Do you want to go have drinks? I'm like, yes, but I can't. So, super cool. And moving out here, I was like, all right, I gotta get a job now. And I had a hookup connection, because it's all about who you know. And of course, when you have family that's out here and they know somebody and they're like, hey, I got this guy, he owns a restaurant, blah, blah, and I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go check it out. And like, I really liked the guy I interviewed, like the owner of the restaurant. But then like the manager of the restaurant that I interviewed with, I was like, oh no, you and I are not gonna get along. And I didn't like the way like the server station was laid out, and I was like, this is not gonna be for me. So I didn't take the job, right? And I did another interview, and it was this place called Dan's Diner, and it was, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you ever go into a place and the woman's like, if you're not able to keep up with your tables and you're not moving fast enough, I'm gonna steal them. Okay, what happened to teamwork? And like, you got this, let me help you, I'm gonna get them drinks, like whatever, you know, like I got you, go whatever. And it's like, nope, I'm gonna take it. And you're just gonna stand there and watch me because now you have nothing to do and I'm just gonna run the show. And then the owner comes over, who looks like the chef, and he sits down and he's like, what do you know about wine? And I'm like, I mean, I found one at Horrocks for like $13. It's like a middle-of-the-road red, and I add frozen black cherries to it, and it's really good. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, if you don't know anything about like 200 different varieties of wine, you can't work here, and you better, you know, but I'm just like, okay, so it's wintertime, I put my coat on, and I'm like, this is not going to work. And I was like, thanks, goodbye. And I got up and I left. Needless to say, I don't think it lasted too long. It's up on stilts right now, like they stripped it. It's just sitting in the shopping mall area, and I looked online and there was just a lot of pictures of like young girls posing seductively on like the tables, and I'm like, ew. So yeah, we dodged that bullet. Then I went to this other place and I walked in, and all of a sudden I heard bartender. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went and I sat down around the corner, and the owner comes over and he's like, hey, I know that you applied for serving, but he's like, I really need bartenders. And I was like, I just got this feeling. And now if you start pursuing a relationship with the Lord, there's this thing called the Holy Spirit, which some people call it a conscience or a gut feeling or whatever. Either way, it becomes very open and chatty and expressive. And so at this point I was like, I just felt that feeling that I wanted to feel, and I knew I was in the right place. So I stayed there. And I had an opportunity to leave, and I went to this other place, and it was a shit show, and I was like, nah, we're not staying here. And that was during COVID, and I went back because I got laid off twice. And I started to realize the importance of seeking God first before I proceeded, right? So I was like, hey, like, I feel like I should be leaving where I'm at right now. I was at my bartending job for 2.5 years, and I love it. And I was just getting really sick of working nights, being out late, being around food I'm allergic to, eating the food I'm allergic to because I'm around it so late. And then it was just like, I need to remove those distractions from my life, right? So I had to do what I had to do. I had to walk away from another job. And I was praying and asking God, and I was like, I have my one friend, Lindsay. She's like my prayer girl. And I feel so bad because I'm always like, Lindsay, I need prayer. And this poor girl's like, okay, like, you're such a mess. Like, it's fine. Like, I love you. Let's do this. And I'm like, thank you. And so I was praying and was like, okay, so ask Holy Spirit first. Like, okay, Lord, like, where do you want me to go? I have this place, this place, this place. I have this opportunity. Like, where do you want me? So instead of just choosing where I wanted to go and getting stuck someplace and it being another shit show and whatever, I allowed Holy Spirit to be like, hey, this is where I want you. So I followed suit. I had to finish up working on my other job. I ended up going home. Then I got sick for a week because the gastritis flared up, and I was eating like crap, and I had drank, and then I just, it's not good. Okay, so then I took like that time to heal up because it takes anywhere from 2 to 10 days. And I found out that 10 is the number that God uses to test. So I know every time like I get a gastritis flare up, like it takes like 10 days, and that's a time of me really pressing back into the Lord, changing up my diet, you know, doing what I need to do, and staying away from people and things that just I can't be around for those times while I'm healing up my stomach. And so I started at the other job, and I hated it. Okay? I hated it. And I just spend my days busting tables. All day. 8 hours a day. Okay, I went from bartending to where I had my mats all nice and neat, how I liked them, and it was mine for 8 hours, okay? And I had my floor mats, which they say if you touch them, you're immune to COVID. I don't know. They were gross, and I touched them all the time because I had to. And I had a job I loved. I had my regulars, which, again, I made friends there. I made family there. And as I stated earlier, a good regular of mine passed this morning from a massive heart attack. And he was a great guy. And he tried to help me get a different job at this really awesome insurance company. He came in and did not know how to order a tall Tito's and Sprite and soda or whatever. And I was like, dude, it's literally, you're ordering a double. I was like, I got you. I heavy pour. Like, so then we just ended up naming it the Sweet Melissa because everyone finds it hilarious. And I love the Allman Brothers. Like, it's cool. So yeah, it was a hard day because life is so short. And everything, if you are into reading your Bible, I will tell you that, believe it or not, if you can grasp the book of Revelations or do your research to really seek out wise counsel, we are in the end times. So it is very, very, very important for you to ask yourself, if I died today, am I going to go to heaven? Because we are literally already living in hell, okay? And so why would you want to go live in a worse version of this shit show instead of And it's not just floating around on clouds and just worshiping the Lord and blah. Like, trust me, guys, like, I just learned, like, there's gonna be, like, a 7-year party. He says that everything that you've been, like, pretty much everything you've missed out on. So I've missed out on, like, love and life and laughter and health and everything. Because I've been sick my entire life. I've picked poor relationships my entire life. I've been neglected. I've been whatever. And he's going to take me and set me on solid ground, and he is going to restore all that for me. And if it's not in this lifetime, it's going to be in heaven. And with the way that the world is going, it's going to be soon. So we're all at that point where we're like, cool. If you know you're going to heaven, we're all like, bring it on, Jesus. Like, cool. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah, I finally have the knowledge and wisdom and understanding because God's been giving me that through me seeking him and taking the time to really just be still and be present and to not allow someone to dictate my future or my time anymore. And I am forced to be alone and I am forced to be bored. And it has been the best decision I've made in a while because I've done this before, but I'm realizing the importance of it now. So with that, waking up every day and being like, I have a choice to evolve or repeat. Today I evolved, but then I repeated. But that's okay. Because we understand now the importance of continuing to pick up where we left off. And we can't be hard on ourselves because we're human. It took me 31 years to understand what I know now that I just learned in the last 4 months. So we can't beat ourselves up if we're not making the changes that we need to make overnight. Okay? So, and then realizing, like, if you're going to eat something that, like, and I don't mean, like, the cow was alive. Yeah, some people can eat meat. Cool, do you. But, like, quite honestly, if you do your research, like, eating a whole lot of red meat doesn't really help you. You can still get a lot of good stuff from your plants. So if you're considering, like, these blueberries and vegetables and the good things, like, those are alkalizing, right? So if we're trying to heal inflammation on a cellular level, eating things that are acidic, like meat and dairy and carbs and Doritos and junk, which I miss so much. Anyways, if we're trying to kill the inflammation, we can't keep feeding it things that inflame it, adding fuel to a fire. Like, that's just stupid. Stop. Then you have to start eating things that are healthy and green and alkalizing and that calm that down, that start to heal, that start to replenish that forest that we've destroyed with antibiotics and ice cream and alcohol for 30 some years, right? Probably 15, 16. I started drinking when I was like 14. Actually, I started drinking way before that, but not like I was. It's fine. My grandfather used to give me, like, we used to share, like, a bush light while we'd throw the ball to the dog. I didn't end up, becoming an alcoholic. He was. But that's fine. And, yeah, so, like, these things that we end up realizing that set us off for the rest of our lives, like evolve or repeat or eat healthy food, or we can hear them our entire lives, and until they actually click, we aren't going to do them. But again, realizing that it's a process. It's a journey. Again, it's a journey, not a race. I mean, there's so many cliches, and we listen to them, and we poster and plaster them all over our wall, and we get our tattoos, no rain, no flowers, it's fake, but I like it. I also have, this one says God is greater than my highs and lows. It's temporary. I wanted to see what it looked like on my, but I like this one. My next one is going to be line art. I don't know why I've taken on an obsession with it, but there's this girl and she's like in this, like, there's flowers. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. I wish I could draw. Apparently, like, who can mess up lines? But to make the lines look like an image, I don't really think that's my strong suit. So if I have any friends who are good at drawing who want to, like, not charge me a ton to, like, do a bunch of drawings for my next tattoo, that'd be cool. Yeah, so anyways, so again, these things that just click when they're meant to click, right? And they're at that, we're at that point where what we hear takes us on to the rest of our life or into this next season. So like they say, some people come into your life for a reason and a season and a blah, blah, blah. Yes, they can. And it's still important to guard your heart, because if you're a woman, not every dude that comes into your life is your husband. And don't go sleeping with him, because then you got a soul tie. And then this is sex, and then you gave away, and now you don't have any, like, it's fine. You can still be restored from that, but it's like, now I gotta see you. And then, like, I would have been better friends with your new girlfriend, but, like, you and I had a connection, and just ruined a lot of things. So don't jump into sex, and don't jump into opening up your heart to somebody right away. Like, it's just, keep low risk dating. I learned that at church because I started going again on Thursday nights. Anyways, yeah, okay. It's been, I can talk forever. I'm feeling the heat from being on this bike. The sun has gone down. Yeah. So if you're looking to get a recap and watch this, I'm going to post it on YouTube. I joined TikTok and it terrifies me. I want to go live on there, but I don't have like 1,000 followers, because I'm not, like, I don't know what I have to do for that, but I'm not gonna, like, I'm not 21 anymore, so, like, it's not as acceptable to not wear a bunch of clothes and do weird dance videos. And, like a lot of my family just sees my videos, because those are, like, the whole 6 people, so, like, that's not how I'm gonna get my 1,000 followers on TikTok, so that I can sucker you in and talk about Jesus and sugar. Really, it's gonna be a lot of being an advocate for how sugar is killing you. It's fine. Nobody wants to hear about how food doesn't make you feel good and how much Jesus loves you, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta hear it, and for me, I gotta say it. So I can't, I don't care. Eventually, you'll hear it and it'll be in your head, and then when it's meant to click, it'll click, just like everything we talked about tonight, which it's meant to hit where it's supposed to hit now, and I'm going to take it on to the rest of my life. And it's like so hard for me. I'm like, oh my God, like, I love quotes, and I'm like, this quote is amazing. Let's get it tattooed on our body again. Why I do fake tattoos, because I'm like, this is cool for 2 weeks. And the real ones, I'm like, shit, now I gotta freaking cover it up, and I can't. I wasted a lot of good placement, like, spots with quotes, and then trying to figure out what to get over them is the worst. Oh, Lord. There's a whole nother rant I could go on about the Virgo symbol that I got tattooed on my body. Quick, funny story, though. I opened the door to the devil to mess with me. Oh, look at Blaine Mullen. And that's my cool view. There he is again. Sometimes they go differently. Anyways. So I opened a door because I got this Virgo symbol tattooed on my body, and I didn't realize that I had opened the door, and Mike was like, hey, he's like, when did you get the Virgo symbol? He's like, because I researched it, and she is, the Virgo represents digestion, and you've had digestive issues for how long now? And I was like, yeah, I got it about 9 years ago. And he's like, how long have you been sick? And I was like, about 9 years. And he's like, well, we're going to pray and we're going to close that door. So I opened it, and I allowed the devil to come in and be like, hey, you want to just be miserable with food your entire life? Because, like, it was crazy because I had gotten it covered up. And a few days prior to me going in to meet, going back to Access, and Mike laid hands and prayed on it, that spot had been burning. Just my old tattoo. And I had gotten that tattoo like 6 months ago covered up, and just the old tattoo had been burning. Okay? That's weird. And then I go in, and then Mike's like, yeah, like, I can, be an issue. And so we're going to, like, pray over that. So he laid hands on it and prayed and shut the door. And yes, I cannot believe how terrible it looked beforehand. And I'm so happy it's covered up now. But then I got all that red dye, and I'm like, I'm sure that doesn't help me, because we all know the side effects of red dye, or at least some of us do, us nut jobs out here that are into holistic and all that crap. So probably doesn't help. It's fine. Everything's fine. So that was a whole thing. So yeah, so it's been quite a journey, and I will tell you that again, waking up in the morning and saying to yourself, I have a choice today. Am I going to evolve or am I going to repeat? So make your choice. And if you want things to keep being this terrible whatever it's been, then repeat. But just know that if you want to evolve and you're like, I'm going to manifest evolving, I'm going to do what I need to do, and then you repeat, again, it's fine. Don't hate yourself and completely give up. Just realize, like, okay, came a little bit further. I'm going to pick up where I left off. So, like, that's the whole, like, it takes time. Be still, slow down, step out of your first world problems bubble and realize, like, there's more going on than just your problems. And, you know, like, if you stay focused on your problems, that's all you're going to see. And then you're going to live in this pity party and everything is going to suck and that depression is going to hit you and you're going to live in those feelings and emotions. And if you're anything like me, that's going to trigger you binge eating, and then you're just going to stay in this vicious cycle of just, I ate too much and I feel like shit and now I can't lay down flat and then I got to prop myself up on the couch for 6 hours before I go lay flat in my bed. And because I don't want to get the acid up my throat and then the acid gets in my lungs and it causes asthma because my food's not digesting because I binge ate all day. Okay, cool. So it starts with, hey, I'm going to make the effort to evolve today. I am going to really be like, hey, girl, like, I believe in you. Or recite a Bible verse 1,000 times, or just leave the house. I try to do that. And then I'll come home and I'll be like, well, it's been 4 hours. I could probably eat the rest of the ice cream in there. And it's like, okay. So it's fine. But it's about making that effort and realizing that you can't get your time back. And if you're not eating food that is alive, that is assisting in your living, you're not actually living, you're just killing yourself. And there's enough going on in this world that is just killing us. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I just really like to hear both sides and then form my own opinion. And quite honestly, you know, eat the rainbow, and then I want to eat Skittles. It's fine. I miss junk food, but like, it's fine. I don't, because it makes me feel like crap. So that's where we're at right now. Again, so a matter of healing the inflammation on a cellular level. And starting to take our lives back and start shifting our minds. Get the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Start realizing that it is in your power to change your life. And it starts with your thoughts and not living in your emotions. So much easier said than done. I understand. Girl, I'm telling you. Oh my gosh. I can't. Oh my God. That book you gave me, the one that was like specifically for me about like the mold and the parasites and the whatnot, I'm like, yeah, that's what's happening. And it sucks because then I'm like allowing these things to be like, hey, more sugar. And then I'm like, diabetes in the background, and it's like, it's fine. And then I'm like, you're right. So let's just eat this half a tub of ice cream that is literally made up of honey and chocolate and bananas. And you're like, all of those things are sugar. And it's like, yeah, but if you don't eat it now, it's going to be there. And you know I'm going to want to eat it later. And I'm like, damn it. So then I eat it all in one sitting after I'm already super full to just be like, shit, now I feel like I'm dying. And then it's like, yeah, and you're out of ice cream. You should probably go buy more. And it's like, oh, you don't have any money to buy more? Well, what else can we binge eat? You got raisins in there. Those are full of sugar, and you're really going to feel like crap. And it might even spark your gastritis to come back. Like, let's get it. And then it's like those prunes, you think they're going to help you, but they're still full of sugar, and I'm going to win in the long run. Let's go eat them. It's going to help you. It's prunes. Just eat them. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. It's getting dark. I don't think I could turn on my flash. It's fine. My eyes look like prettier because I'm full of sugar. Anyways, so I feel like you're the only one who understands. It's fine. It's the worst. I don't want to say it's the worst, but it's just like hard. Everyone's like, she's a freaking nut job. Again, the version that these people, like when I meet somebody, whatever version so if you watched this video, you have some sort of version of me you've created in your head. And you're like, yeah, that's crazy. No, I'm not. I've just been going through some stuff. And I'm trying to get it together. And if you aren't, I don't even need a man. Okay, again, I'm not searching. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I learned the importance of being forced to be alone, to not have that busyness in my life to keep me distracted so that I can actually hear myself and figure out what it is I actually need and what's triggering me. Girl, I'm so excited you finally got married. Your dress is so pretty. You look so good. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm a little jealous. It's fine. That man loves you. And I honestly did not get to see that side of you guys until I was over at your house one day and I was like, oh my God, like, you guys are in love. Ew, I hate you. I love you so much. This is so beautiful. And then I was like, I want this. And I'm like, this is not real. So many emotions. But until I heal, I'm not going to attract that vibe, right? And so I have to heal because no offense to anybody, I am just no longer interested in attracting people who were where I was or attracting this same style of man. Like, I need to heal me and realize God is enough and that I am enough and that, yes, I am a strong, independent woman. If you could see my storage unit, I put shelving in there. I climb that shelving. Everything's organized. I got things that hang. I put the big nails in the wall. They don't know that. It's fine. I'll take them out before I leave the storage unit or leave them in there and somebody will be thrilled because they're like, this guy put these in here and they knew what they were doing. And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to take the shelving though. That was expensive. Anyways, if I don't heal physically, mentally, and emotionally, I am going to have to keep declining dates. The no dates that I get to go to the restaurants that I can't eat at because my stomach's jacked up and I'm allergic to dairy. And I can't drink alcohol even though I love a good bourbon or like a really good smoked old fashioned. Like the Amway Hotel, there's like that bar and like the Lumber Baron closed down and I'm so sad because they used to do the smoked glass and it was so good. Oh God. Yes, me first. Absolutely. I'm learning that. Like now I knew this. But again, once I stopped pursuing that guy and realized I'm like, I'm just good. I'm going to just focus on me. Then I had no choice but to focus on me because for the last 4 days, I have had to sit with myself, work through a lot of emotions, and then I started to just do. And I started to get stuff done. And then I binge ate a lot of sugary crap. And then I got a candida overgrowth. And I'm just really tired. And I don't have any energy. And I still haven't made my bed. Like, I just have taken the comforter and I just kind of like fold it over. And I go to bed and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, well, I have to shower. So like, I'm not going to like not, like I'm not going to sleep on like clean sheets when I have to shower. So yeah, that candida really affects me and makes me super tired, and this makes me eat more junk. So I gotta starve it. I just gotta starve myself, which leads me back to my initial point of how hard it is to fast. I need to turn a light on. I am disappearing. It's okay. I can't adjust the brightness. Anyways, yeah. There's a lot I talked about in here. I have no idea how long I've been on this little bike, but I'm hot. So I can imagine it's been over an hour. because you know how long I can talk. And the light's gone. Let's see how pretty the sunset is. Oh gosh, now it works. There we go. It's still really, you can't actually see it. It looks super bright. It's actually a lot darker. Why won't the flash come on this way? That's stupid. I miss you too. But it is nice to talk to you, and you, like, have that mentality to understand me, because it is so hard to talk to some people. Oh my god, I need to do that. I need to stretch morning and night and do yoga, because I stretched and this whole side of me was so tight, and I was like, oh, I have no light. Yes, grounded. I did that this morning. That's what I was talking about. I literally spent 10 minutes, like I set a timer, set my phone over. It took me 10 minutes to eat a pear. Mainly because, like, it was hard for me to breathe. But I spent that entire time grounding myself and sunbathing and eating a pear. And the alpaca were just like, what are you doing? And I'm like, and just eating a pear. And they're like, why? Like, why are you out here? Like, you're never just standing here. And why are you staring at us? Like, you're staring at me. It was just a weird, it's fine. Anyways, I think I'm going to get off of this because, like, the light's going, and I'll post this on YouTube, so if someone's really that bored and they want to spend 2 hours listening to me ramble on, that's where I'll be. Okay, love you. Bye.